year is 2013. I'm in the middle of the ocean. I'm somewhere between Wales and Ireland in the world's first ever attempt of a length of Britain swim. So that's swimming from the bottom of Cornwall to the top of Scotland, 1,500 kilometers. No one's ever even thought of doing this before, except one guy. When I searched it online, there was a guy called Felix who did it in 7 days. I was like, what? Turns out he put a swimming pool on the back of a pickup truck and did lengths as they drove it. I was like, he's done it, man. But anyway, I'm in the ocean and it's cold. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch dark. And I'm swimming and I'm freezing cold and I'm malnourished and I'm going and my crew are in a boat next to me saying, come on, Sean, you can just go a little bit further. And that's all I'm thinking, one step at a time. And I'm getting into my rhythm. You know, at the beginning, you're never good at anything. That first day, I swam like 1K, 2K, then 5. But now I'm into sort of my double figures, and I'm starting to feel a bit confident now. And I remember swimming, and suddenly, I take a stroke, and bam! I feel pain in my face that I've never experienced in my entire life. I look up, and there's a jellyfish, lion's mane jellyfish, one of the most painful jellyfish in UK waters. It's hanging off my face. The tentacles are up my nose, in my mouth, and I'm screaming, jellyfish, jellyfish, help me. And the crew are like, what's going on? I'm like, jellyfish. Owen, my crew member, says, mate, I know what can help. Come to me. So I'm swimming over to Owen, and I get to the boat, and I look up at Owen, and he looks down at me, and he starts pulling his pants down. The next 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, were very, very awkward. Because you probably know there's quite a common theory on what helps with jellyfish stings, right? It's urine, okay? Right, well, I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, it does not work. Never let anyone trick you into that one. You're welcome, by the way. But what did help is, at the time, I had a little bit of facial hair. I was clean-shaven at the beginning of that swim, a little bit of facial hair. And that actually, after time, stopped the tentacles touching my skin. So from that day on, I thought I'd grow an anti-jellyfish protection beard. And I've kept it ever since. I also think it gives me superpowers. But I have spent 15 years trying to chase really big, long, scary goals. Now, it wasn't always that. I was born in Harare, in Zimbabwe. Then I grew up in Zululand. And I had big dreams when I was a kid. I dreamt I was going to be this National Geographic photographer. I was going to travel the world and photograph for all these magazines. Unfortunately, I stopped getting those jobs, and I didn't really get them. So what I did, and this is my first thing I want to really hone down for you today, is I started lowering my ambition just to increase my chance of success, right? Now, who here can solve a Rubik's Cube? Anyone? No one. Right. I bet if I asked you, why can't you solve a Rubik's Cube? I bet you say, oh, it's too difficult. It's tricky. Like, what do I do? What if I told you to solve a Rubik's Cube, it's 8 moves. You have to learn 8 mini little challenges to solve a Rubik's Cube, and each of those take about 15 minutes to learn. This is what I did. I've learned it that way. So, in total, it'll take you 2 hours. All of you tonight could buy a Rubik's Cube, and by tomorrow morning, you'll know how to do it if you just follow the system. But that's the problem. I was getting too confused with life and ambition. I was like, oh, you can do this a million times. You'll never do it. You have to follow the system. Now, that's what I did in photography. I was just a bit all over the place, and I didn't get the jobs. So I lowered my ambition and tried something easier. And then I didn't get those because my heart wasn't in it. So I lowered my ambition again and again and again. And 10 years later, instead of photographing amazing tribes in the Atacama, I was a school portrait photographer. I buy those pictures of my kids now. So I turned 30, and I was like, right, I just need to have this big, scary goal. So what's the biggest scary goal I can think of? It's this endurance Grand Slam. It's made up of 4 world records: a world's first, a world's fastest, a world's furthest, and the world's most of. And I thought, right, well, that is really an important thing where you have this really long-term goal. Because the biggest mistake I made in those early days of photography is I overestimated what I could achieve in like a year, but massively underestimated what I could achieve in like 5 years or 10 years. So that's, playing that long game, thinking, right, well, I've got this goal, it's going to be in 10 years' time, and it needs to be in 10 years' time because you've got to build that foundation. You've got to build the levels. You've got to do one side first. You've got to build that up, and then it gets easier and easier, right? And that's what I did. So I came up with the Grand Slam. The first one was cycling around the world. I thought I'd try and break the world record for cycling around the world, but unfortunately I got run over in America. So that was someone else taking my dream. Yeah, a bit awkward that. That was someone else taking my dream away from me. And that's going to happen in life. You're going to get other people who get in your way. But it's about finding the people who want to support you. I call it the snowball. We all have big ideas. That's the snowflake, right? The snowflake comes, lands on the ground. Now, to become a snowball, and eventually want to become an avalanche, right? You need to make action. No one's going to help you. The snowflake, you need to take that first step forward. And you need to do that on your own, and you shouldn't expect help. You might get help at the beginning, but you might not. That's fine. You take that first action step. And then someone might join you, and you're like, brilliant. And then you sort of get a bit of momentum. And the idea is the more people, the more you show that you can do something, the more people want to join. And that's happened in all my world records. Trying to cycle around, that didn't work out. Swam the length of Britain, that did work out. Doing the world's longest triathlon. I did 6,000-kilometer triathlon. It took me 88 days. And that was one of the other Grand Slams. Then I decided to try and break the record for cycling across Europe. So 4,000 kilometers, cycling from the edge of Portugal to the Ural Mountains in Russia. The halfway point was the Ukrainian border. So that second half was terrifying. But it doesn't matter because I knew I'd built the base, I'd built my fitness, I worked on my conditioning, I had my team of people helping me, not physically there, but remotely, and that's absolutely fine. And then I broke that record. So up until, this has now taken me 10 years to get 3 of the 4. And the last one was by far the hardest. Now, the last one was trying to break the record for the most number of Ironmans in a row. Has anyone done an Ironman in here? No, but does anyone, an Ironman, just to show you what it is, it's a triathlon, swim, bike, run. It's a 4-kilometer swim, followed by 180 kilometers on the bike, and then ending with a marathon at the end, a 42-kilometer run. And I was going to have to do one of those every single day for 101 days to break that world record. When you do an Ironman, when you do something big, it's going to be miserable at the beginning. You've just got to expect that. Mike Tyson actually famously put it perfectly in his career. He says, everyone has a plan until I punch him in the face. And that's what the Ironmans did to me. They just punched me in the face. But I'd learned by now. I'd had all this years of experience. I'd played this long goal, this 10, 15-year goal, and I started to put into place all the things, like building that Rubik's Cube. You know, do the white cross, then do the white, and then do the second layer, and you build it up. And if you just trust the process and not be too overambitious, because you've got to, it's all about sustained high performance, right? Sustained high performance. Getting to that red line, but not going over it. Because every time you go over the red line, you're poking a hole in the bag of sand, and then all of a sudden you never get that energy back. It's about that sustained high performance. But if you do that every single day, you don't lower your ambition to increase your chance of success, you find that snowball of people who support your ideas. The ones who don't support you genuinely are jealous or drunk. They're the people on the internet, right? Oh, you can't do it, mate, you can't do it. You do that, you think big, you find your network of people, and you just chip away at the block and play this long, super long goal. You will 100% achieve everything and anything that you ever wanted. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great to talk to you.